15 people are in the waiting room. View, and I'm going to just admit all. All right, so where's the record button?
And then we'll have a people coming up.
It's on.
Oh,
Hello. Now I lost the picture. Hello? Yeah, everybody is. Dustin Ching. Westland just opened. Try going in again. Right now.
All right, I think you got it.
There it goes. Try right now. Nope, you just disappeared. Go on. Just push the Zoom, going by Zoom issue. Push. Are you on there?
I am. Good morning, Dr. Brown. I'm on.
You want to take a roll call?
I can.
we can
Yeah.
do it.
Or
We
is
can-
You
is
got it?
Nancy around? Is Nancy
Yeah.
around?
Okay, is Jerry Bath on the call?
Yes, I am.
Oh,
Me, everyone.
all right, Dr. Brown,
I'm on. I am.
Mike Clark,
Present.
Done.
Linda Dunn,
Present.
Dr. Dershowitz,
Present. Can you see me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Comb your hair.
okay, our liaison to the council, Chuck Gardner,
Present.
and our attorney, Dave Westland.
Present.
Okay.
Tricia and Wendy.
Is Tricia on the call, Wendy?
Yes.
Yes, she is.
Okay,
Anyone?
And we have about 5 iPhone or phone numbers on here. They probably should be muted to help prevent some of the feedback. The only people that shouldn't be muted are the board itself.
okay.
Thanks.
One from fire.
Any, fire department, who's present? Chief Bell?
Anyone?
Anybody from
Chief
fire
Pelt?
present?
I think we muted Chief Pelk. He's 836-6965. Or is that,
Good.
I'm sorry, that might be somebody else.
All right. Superior.
And Superior Ambulance, I saw them, they're
Alan.
Chris.
Who's on from Superior?
Or
Jeff Collins.
Jeff Collins
And Tristan.
and Tristan. Okay, all right, we have a quorum and we're able to start.
okay. So I don't know. Did you call Linda?
Yes, he did. She did.
Okay. So we'll start with call to order. And we did the roll call and the moment of silence. We had a lot of silence already. And the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
Flag
of the United
United
States of
States of
America,
America.
And
to the
To the
republic,
republic for which it stands,
stand
Which is
one
one
nation,
nation, under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice
justice
for
for
all.
all.
So open to the public. Is there any public? If there's no public, I don't have to read this whole thing. Or do any of you guys who don't have places want to talk about something? Okay, I'll take that as a no. Consent agenda. Can I have a motion to accept the agenda so we can talk about it if we have to?
I move that we accept the consent agenda.
I'll
Okay.
second.
Okay, so Jerry is second.
And,
Is there anybody that has anything they want to bring up about the consent agenda? Going once, going twice. Okay. Dave, you know you're silenced?
I do.
Okay,
I didn't have anything yet.
you just look like you were thinking something. You were mouthing some. Okay, so then, all those in favor, can we say aye or do we have to have a roll call?
Roll call.
Roll
Roll
call
call.
for a Zoom meeting always.
Okay. Can, Wendy, you want to take the roll call?
I can, or Nancy can.
Nancy will do it.
Okay.
I thought she wasn't there. Okay.
Okay, Mr. Baffa, how do you vote?
Aye.
Dr. Brown?
Aye.
Mike Clark?
Aye.
And Linda?
Aye.
And Dr. Dershowitz, how do you vote?
Aye.
Okay. The vote is unanimous, 5-0.
Okay. So then, monthly Superior report, Linda and Jerry.
Jerry, do you
Yes,
want to
Steve.
do it this?
Well, there was, seemed like there had some delays because they were coming from the middle of town. I just wondered where the middle of town was. And, Linda came up with some great questions and I did not receive a reply via email. If Linda did.
Jerry, I just got it about 10 minutes before the meeting started. I forwarded it to you, but maybe you didn't check your email. Tristan noted
No.
that the middle of town is Southwood and 45th, I think. No, Franlin and Southwood.
So why was that delayed?
Well, that's what I was wondering, because there were a couple that were at the far north end of town or way south, and I just wasn't sure what their center point was, so that I could better gauge, if the delay seemed within reason. And I did, Tristan did get back to me. They were, let's see. And I barely had a chance to digest this, but the explanation seemed okay to me. My other question was getting out the door. One was in the wee hours of the morning, the other very late at night. And I had forgotten that the ambulance crews were on a 24-hour shift. So yes, they do rest when they can. And I imagine it is during those same hours. So that accounted for a little bit longer response time because of when the calls came in and the crews, I'm assuming, resting at that point or sleeping. So they did get out within the 2-minute guidelines, I guess I'll call it. So everything basically seems in order.
But I don't know about, what's the 2-minute now? I mean, I thought it was 6 minutes or 5 minutes. I mean,
No, this is if they're, well, maybe Tristan, you can explain better than I.
So generally speaking, for overnight hours, we want the crews to be able to get out the door within 2 minutes. That's just if they were sleeping or resting before that call. That's only for when they're responding in the overnight hours. So, if they were sleeping or resting, generally like the delays that we encountered this month were between the hours of 11 p.m. or around 6 a.m. or so. So that would be the crews, waking up from a dead sleep and going on that call. But generally speaking, those types of delays are pretty minimized due to the ERV already being posted, seeing that call coming in and en route, and sometimes on scene before, the ambulances even en route themselves, just because the ERV is always, posted in the center.
so that
What was the time from the tone to on site then?
Let me go back to, hold on 1 second. I have to, because when I posed my questions, I was just referring to the trip number, so I need to go back and look.
Yeah, and Linda, I apologize for the delay getting those answers to you. There was an issue with sending them yesterday on my part, but that won't happen again.
Okay, well, no, you guys have been real prompt with it, and I was late getting my questions to them. Let's see. The one that I had questioned, the time to patient was 6 minutes and 12 seconds, 5 minutes and 17 seconds to the site. So it wasn't grossly over.
Is if it was you.
Linda, I think there's also a trip number 164 at 5:46 a.m. that
Right,
had that same comment.
Yeah.
Minute
I
and a
was-
half out the door, and then 5:14 to the response time, and then time to patient was 7:06.
right.
So to me, the being asleep isn't acceptable if we got a 6 minute, well, I don't want to use the word acceptable. We've got a 6 minute target and we're over that. And the excuse that they're in the building, to me, is problematic if we can't make 6 minutes. If you could get in the building and still be on site in 6 minutes, fine. But the target's still 6 minutes, so we weren't on these two.
Yeah, I forgot to ask, and I didn't look closely enough to see that there was almost a 2-minute gap between arriving at the scene and getting inside. Do you know what that was about, Tristan? I didn't ask that specific question.
I could look into that one further. I don't know at the top of my head, but
Yeah,
I could definitely figure that out for you.
I mean, isn't it,
Well,
what bothers me is that I thought most heart attacks occur at 4 a.m. So if that's our delay, and the other problem is the streets are empty, so they should be making up time getting there. So if it was the daytime, it would really be a mess.
What trip number are you referring to, Linda?
I'm referring to 164.
Okay, I'll take a look.
well, do you remember when we had the heat map saying that most of the calls are in the northwest corner of the town?
Yeah.
So why is the center of the ambulance at Southwood and what, 45th, you said?
Franklin and Southwood, yes.
So the center of
Right.
town, for our purposes, is Southwood and 45th. That's where we have the ERV respond from, just so that they're in a centralized location and can make it to most spots in the town in under 5 minutes. Occasionally, you know, if it's a far corner of town, they're still not going to be able to quite make it there. The ambulances, however, are stationed, you know, in the physical building, which is on the north end of town.
So then,
I guess
how is it-
my follow-up question is, with a 24-hour shift for the ambulance crews, is that a standard practice among most companies instead of 12-hour shifts?
That is correct. Most companies do adhere to a 24-hour schedule. That's in part just because it seems to work better, as well due to staffing concerns. I mean, to give you an idea of paramedics in the state of Indiana, there's far more paramedics in the city of Chicago than there are just in the state of Indiana.
Yeah, but they get shot at.
So I just want to point out to everybody on the board too, our average response time to the scene is 2 minutes and 48 seconds. Our average to patient time is 4 minutes and 1 second. And I will remind everybody the national average is 7 to 8 minutes to the scene. That's not to the patient side, to the scene. We are well exceeding any national average response time for the town of Munster.
For the ambulance or for the chase car?
That's either or. So your patients in the town of Munster, the citizens in the town of Munster on average are getting medical care within 4 minutes of those tones being activated. And even before that, because that chase car is seeing that call come up when it's an EMD. So that's even prior to those tones being activated for the ambulance response.
So let me just ask this question. So is the chase car awake or is he asleep too?
He's awake. That vehicle's awake because it's on a 12-hour shift. So that vehicle is not housed. That's why it's kept in the middle of town. So it sees those calls come in, and there's an alert on their actual spillman. So that's how they get that head start on that call.
Okay, that's good. Okay, well, let's not beat it to death. So if we just watch it, Linda and Jerry, then.
I have been. I did miss the lag between on that one call, number 164. So Tristan, if you can get back to me on that, I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I will, I'll email you today.
Thanks.
Okay, so when is the tunnel opening up? Does anybody know when they're gonna open the tunnel between 45th and South? Because,
Hopefully the second week of December.
okay, so that'll, because we're sort of, 45th Street isn't there now, and they're just going through the city streets. Okay, well, do you have anything else, Linda and Jerry, or anybody else on that subject?
I didn't.
No, other than they're doing okay.
Okay, well, just watch it. So do we need a,
Yeah, can you
accept that report?
roll call vote to accept the report?
Beth, Ms. Beth,
Jerry Baffa,
Aye.
Doc,
Dr. Brown,
Aye,
Mr. Clark,
Aye.
Linda Dunn,
Linda Dunn,
Aye.
Dershowitz.
and Dr. Dershowitz.
Aye.
Thank you.
Next is you.
okay, so moving on to chief's comments. Steve, do you want to talk about your first agenda, police body
Well,
cameras?
Yeah, so we originally, prior to all the COVID and prior to all the protests, I'm going back several years now, we actually were looking into purchasing body cameras. Then we hit the circuit breakers, the tax caps that Lake County was forced to go under, which left a deficit in our budget. So we went into cutting mode. One of the things that we put on the back burner were body cameras, but given the climate of today's policing, in consult with our town attorney, we're actually just seeking a Board of Safety approval to move the recommendation forward to go ahead and bite the bullet and obtain the body cameras. It isn't so much the cameras themselves, it's the monthly storage fees that get quite expensive every year. But in this climate, and maybe our town attorney can comment a little bit more to the climate, it would be a prudent move to go ahead and make that a priority. And our attorney, counsel Dave Westland might be able to comment a little bit more about that.
Sure. I was originally alerted to this issue because a neighboring town was under a mistaken belief that we were canceling or doing away with the body cameras we already had, and they were concerned. I hadn't heard anything about it, so I contacted Chief Shekel and asked him, "Is it true we're getting rid of the body cameras?" And he said, "Well, no, we don't have them." Which I guess I don't know why I thought we did, because the issue that Chief and I have talked about, excuse me, over and over again is, I've had a couple of cases in the 5 or 6 years that we've represented the town where, had we had those body cameras, those cases would not have been cases, they would have been dismissed immediately. So I think you would have saved, if I weigh the storage versus what we've spent in attorney's fees defending cases where it's our officer's word against the complainant's word. If we would have had the body camera, we would have known, and either we would have won, done what we needed to do to get rid of the case and dispose of the case, which would have saved you attorney fees, or B, we would have presented the tape and the case would have been over by virtue of us presenting the case, which would have gotten rid of the attorney fees. So in today's climate and with the way of the world, I am shocked that towns don't have body cameras, all of them, because I think, number one, a cell phone camera is running from other people. And number two, it makes good sense for the protection of your officers. And when I talked to the chief about it, he said, of course we want them. And it's been universal. Every chief or assistant chief I've talked to about it has said, yes, we want those body cameras because the good officers want them for protection of themselves, and the guys that don't want them, we don't want working for us anyway. So I just think in today's climate, having them is a necessary expense, and I think in the long run, it's going to save you money.
Yeah, I think that pretty much answers what I hear from the other departments. Or we don't want them because our verbal response is better than having it documented wrong. But I mean, you get every person on the street whips out their cell phone and takes their own version. So
yeah, I want it from, if I'm going to get 5 videos from differing views and differing angles, I want the officer's angle, right? What he's seeing, what he's observing, what he's being told, and then how he is responding. I just think that's the one I want. That's the one that's the most compelling, because it's what would a reasonable officer do in that circumstance? Well, what better way to know that than to actually have the camera from his angle and hear what he's hearing?
we have a past citizen of Munster that grew up in Munster, and now he has his first job. His father was a prominent physician, but he grew up knowing guns and shooting, and he became an officer in Houston and joined their force. And it's only his second year on a force, so he's that young. And he got attacked, or him and his partner got attacked by a guy, and his body camera showed the guy shooting at him, and then he put 12 bullets in the guy. Well, it didn't matter. I mean, he's got immediately dismissed, even in a town like Houston, with his body camera. And his father was like praising body cameras up and down. So
what we're asking is if the Board of Safety could make a recommendation to council under the emphasis of, we understand we're under financial duress right now. However, this is a priority that would, in the view of the Board of Safety, would probably save the town in the long run. If we could get that from the board, we could make that recommendation to council.
So if there's no more,
Hold on. I have 2 questions, Steve. These are audio and video cameras, right? They're not just video, it's both.
Right, and that's what we're looking at.
And then what is the storage cost? Just for special
Well,
sake.
it depends. Everybody's doing these global packages now, so It could be anywhere. I would say right around $100,000 a year is your storage fees. Give a little, take a little, depending on the company.
And then the upfront out cost for everything?
So what we've been finding, it's kind of mixed. So like, for example, Axon, which used to be, formerly it was Taser, they present a complete package in different tiers. So not only does your body camera work, it also has an LPR license plate recognition in the dash camera inside the squad car. So that it's kind of like a complete soup to nuts. Everything's synchronized, so you get different angles. And it automatically records to your video in-car camera, which we already have. And that is a 5-year package. They replace everything. If something breaks, we just send it into them. They give us a new one. So it's kind of a complete soup to nuts. You're buying the whole enchilada, the whole package. And Damon, are you on the call? Damon priced that out this week. And then we got another one, Panasonic, who does just the body cameras and the storage. It's not as comprehensive. So I guess directly to your question, Mr. Clark, is it depends what package we go with, but maybe Damon can give the ballpark numbers. Damon, are you able to unmute and talk about that?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi. So it just depends on, like Chief stated, what package you're going to go with. So there's, I'm trying to find the one with everything in it. So the first year is they can schedule however you want. Usually, typically the first year is the hardware stuff, and then the next 4 years is paying for the licensing and the storage and all that stuff.
But I don't know that bottom cost.
Yeah.
Trying to look through these quotes here.
Everything I'm
All right.
looking at says 135.
So, Mr. Clark, the first year, and this is, the whole amount would be $135,000. And the first year would be $51,775.08. And then every preceding year, year 2, 3, 4, and 5 would be $20,988, for a grand total of $135,000 for 5 years.
Chief, I think that quote is the bare bones quote.
Okay, well, that's one we found.
There's another one, if you want me to tell you what that one is.
Yeah, please, Damon, go ahead.
That one, year 1 is 82,184, and then years 2 through 5 is 57,000.
All right, that's good. That's helpful. I just wanted to know the ballpark or the range. If we were going to spend 10% of the town's budget on something like this, it's a tough trade-off, but this seems like it's expensive, but when weighed against other costs and possible risk, we should look hard to see if we have the money. So thank you. I'm good.
Okay.
I have a question.
Go for it, Jerry.
Oh, okay, thank you. That includes everything in, maintenance and storage, and do they get to testify how good their equipment is and things of that nature?
Testify to who?
In court. You know, in case they say, well, your cameras are ineffective for this or that.
I mean, you'd be seeing the result.
Right. I mean, so everything that they're going to do is included in these costs, correct? There's no other extra charges afterwards? I guess that's the question.
Correct. And usually with Taser, which is now Axon, I can speak to it because we've carried the actual tasers for years. If the court requires expert testimony for whatever reason, they have their experts that will be subpoenaed to court and testify to the workings of that product, if you will.
Okay.
Is there a camera on the Taser gun?
Some have it, some do not.
Would that be?
It just depends which model you're carrying. So some Taser products, if you have the top of the line, when you activate you have to flip up the safety. And then once that safety is activated, it will start recording where you're pointed. And others, the older Tasers, do not have that function.
Chief, if you don't mind.
Please go ahead, Dame.
The newer tasers don't have an actual camera on the tasers. We did have a version at one time that they had a camera on it, but with the body cams, as soon as you activate your taser, your body cam turns on. Same thing as if you remove your weapon from your holster, they have a sensor, a Bluetooth sensor that would activate body cams. They would also activate any squad car or other body cameras in the vicinity with the Bluetooth. That's some of the features that they offer in these quotes that we're looking at.
I think if you're going to have it, they should activate every which way you want them to. I wouldn't say, let's get the cheap one if you want that other feature. So you should submit what you think we need, not what you think is cheap enough to get through. If they're going to accept it, then if there's some vital part of it, don't you think that we should get it and not just spend all this money and then chintz out on what's real important and get opened up to something?
Well, that would be our ultimate recommendation.
That's what I mean. Let the board decide what they want to do, but I don't want to bring that out of our committee. So we've been discussing without even having a motion. So can we quickly get a motion in a second so we can then ask any further questions?
Okay.
I'll make a motion.
Jerry Beth. Jerry, you made the motion.
Yes.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Second.
I'll second it.
Okay, Mike Clark, second. We'll call the roll.
Or is any other questions? Any other discussion? Okay, we'll call the roll.
All right. Mr. Baffa?
Aye.
Dr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Clark?
Aye.
Linda?
Aye.
Dr. Dershowitz?
Aye.
Okay, motion passed 5-0. We'll send a recommendation to the council. Chuck, do you want it in that format or do you prefer it some other way?
Chuck? Chuck?
It's all right. We'll go ahead and we'll make that motion to the town council.
Okay. Chuck, you're muted if you don't know it.
Okay, now I can hear.
Chuck, would you just like a recommendation from the police department saying that the Board of Safety has recommended us to pursue these body cameras? as soon as possible.
I think pursuing the body cameras, but I do think the specific type, or at least some more detailed information with regards to cost, both annual or initial purchase and annual cost, and also the functionality of how they're going to be used. Certainly, we're talking about some inactivities, but the other advantages of the body cameras, I think, would be good to know with regards to training purposes and other items. So, yeah, no, I think that'd be fine. And what I can do is I can talk a little bit with your staff and kind of prepare an in-depth document for making the recommendation.
Okay, very good. Obviously, you have to approve the quotes at your level anyhow, so the technical quotes will be there. I was looking more for just a like a 30,000 foot overview of the body camera suggestion.
Yes, I think that's fine for right now, but I do think, and even before we get the quotes, I think if we can get some better numbers, I think would help just from a budgeting standpoint. So.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, then we voted for that. Now the police department hiring eligibility list.
Right, so we were recently advised by a sergeant who's retiring next week. Actually, it's going to be Sunday. He gave a 2-week notice only that he's retiring. So we pulled out our eligibility list. We only hired 2 off the list. It still looks like a viable list, but what we're asking for is for you to extend that time frame on that eligibility list so we can start looking for prospective officers. This list was done last year by the Board of Safety. The Board of Safety ranked the eligible candidates, and so far we've only hired 2 off that list. So we're asking for you to extend the list so we could start calling these people and continuing with the hiring process.
Can I have first, we need a motion to do that in a second, then we can discuss it.
I'll make the motion to accept the extension of the hiring list.
I'll second it.
Mr. Baffa made the motion, Linda Dunn seconded.
Okay, so what, do you remember what month it was? I mean, it was like November, wasn't there, or something in there?
August.
It was August?
Yeah.
Wow.
The end of August.
Yeah. It was,
like we just did
it
it.
was you signed it
8/29.
August 29th of 19. You signed the eligibility list.
Okay. So what's the odds that somebody doesn't have a job in there?
We don't know until we look.
We'll have to call and see if they're interested.
You know, it's not uncommon, even, you know, most of these people are employed at other police departments because we did emergency hire.
That's true.
So they may say, yes, I'm willing to jump ship and come to Munster. So we don't know until we call, but, you know, we were right up against that year time frame, and as a general practice, before we go start calling off that list, we just want to make sure that the Board of Safety was on the same page with us. If you weren't, then we'd have to go through the whole process again.
I think, I mean, I'm not even remember what month it was because I thought it was more recent than that, but the people on there were pretty good a fair ways down that list.
We had some very good candidates in between there. I think it's worth a shot personally to go out, reach out to them and see if they're willing to leave their current department and come to Munster. Usually they're happy to do so.
Forgive my confusion. So we had a sergeant retire, so we're not talking about a eligibility list for sergeants.
Well,
we're talking about bringing somebody from the outside into the department based on that list.
Right.
We extended that at the last meeting.
Last meeting, you voted to extend the eligibility list The next sergeant off that list, because we always go by the numbers, is Jack DeLue. So since that list was already extended, we went ahead and we asked Jack if he would accept the position of sergeant after Mike Janiga leaves. He said he'd accept the position, so he would be the next one to be promoted on the current eligibility list for sergeant. This is for new hires.
Got it.
So we're not going up any, we're just filling positions.
Steve, who did you say is moving into the sergeant position?
Jack DeLue, he's about 7 foot tall, bald, rather intimidating presence, but he has a great demeanor, and we're very confident in his leadership skills. I think he'll have no problem at all assuming that role. The guys already look up to him, literally and figuratively. So based on last meeting, when you extended that list, we didn't even know that Sergeant Janiga was going to retire. And unfortunately, he only gave 2 weeks notice. So we're just moving chairs around the deck, so to speak.
Okay, so any more talking, or do you want to take a vote?
But we just did.
No, we just had a
Oh,
motion.
that was, I'm sorry. You're right.
So we have a motion and a second. So then we had discussion. So now can I have a roll call vote?
Yes. Mr. Baffa,
Aye.
Dr. Brown,
Aye.
Mr. Clark,
Aye.
Linda Dunn,
Aye.
Dr. Dershowitz.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Okay, so right, I lost my page of things. Where did my page of things go? Oh, it's on this one. It happens when you get 2 phones. Okay, so the next thing is, do you have anything else, Chief?
No, Doctor, that's all.
I mean, not about that, but I mean about anything.
I do not. I think you're up to speed with everything within the police department right now.
Could I ask a question? I'm not sure if this is the right time, about something that was reported last month, what the status is with Marco's Bar and Grill.
So we are waiting to hear from the state. They work at their own pace. But I can say happily that, you know, having an officer there through those evening hours as much as possible is really kind of suppressed a lot of the complaints we were receiving from the neighbors. So, you know, it's not as problematic as it was last month.
Okay.
But, you know, there's still other issues there that the state's working on.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Any old business? I don't think there is. And then now the main thing is new business is procedure for selection of the fire chief. So that's Mike, you were the chair of that committee. Do you want to take it from there? Hello?
That's not my phone. Yeah, I'm here. Thanks. Yes, I will take it from here. So the the process in the ownership
Okay, I'll put you on.
selecting a new.
Hang on.
What's that?
Okay, can I have I gotta interrupt that. So that was Chief Pelk. So he's supposed to come after Steve and he wanted to give his comments before we got into this new business. Can we do that?
Fantastic. Yeah.
Okay, so just hang on, Mike. So the next, it should have been on our thing. It goes Chief Steve and then Chief Pelk wants to make his comments as from the fire department. So go ahead, Dave. Can you hear me? Chief Pelk?
I would ask him if he's muted, maybe. I don't know
Are you
which
muted?
one.
Let me call him back here.
What number is he, Doc?
I gotta find what just call here. He's calling from his home, which is his home number that he called me from is 712-7458. And his mobile is 313-1371.
I'm not seeing him on the list at all.
Let me just call him here. It sounded like it was coming through the phone too, like he was on. He said he's on 6965.
He's muted, though.
Got it.
He said he's unmuted on his side. So can the administrator unmute him? Yeah, he says his phone is unmuted.
All I can do is ask to unmute, and then he's got to unmute on his end.
Unmute it again. Go on and off, because you were live when you were talking to me. It was.
No, he wasn't.
Anybody hear him there?
No.
No. Go on again and come off again.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I'll shut. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, fine. All right, first of all, we'd like to, as the Munster Fire Department, acknowledge, and along with the Brotherhood of Mavis 24, the tragic loss of firefighter Cunningham on the South Holland Fire Department that lost his life Wednesday. So I want to make that announcement. It hurts us pretty heavily as a brotherhood. He was a very active gentleman for the dive team, and it's tough. We mourn him greatly. Second of all, I'd like to just announce that you probably saw in the paper a few weeks ago, a vehicle ran into one of our fire apparatuses, and thank God nobody was hurt. He crashed into another vehicle, the one that hit our vehicle, but they're all fine. But the vehicle will probably be out, I would guess, at least 2 to 3 months. So that's an issue with the damaged vehicle. And third, I'd just like to let you know, which you're probably aware, and I've been mentioning it prior, that we had 5 new members graduate September 11th. They're on our department now, and they're a very fine group of young men, and we look forward to them future on our department. But other than that, we're sound here. So I just want to let you know.
Okay. Is that it, Dave?
That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Then we'll accept that. We don't have to vote on that.
Oh,
do we have to vote? Yeah, we
No.
voted on Steve's second one. So
that was an administrative action by the board which required a vote. What I brought up, the other stuff is just comments.
I mean, did we have to vote to accept Delu as a sergeant?
Well,
Is
no,
that just
because you did that by fiat when you extended the list.
Okay. So then, okay, now, Mike, go ahead.
Thank you. In discussing the process for hiring a new fire chief with Chuck from the town council, ultimately it's the Board of Safety's role to make a recommendation to the town council. So it's our duty to do that. But the worst thing that could happen is we make a recommendation that the town council said no. So it's our duty, but it's also a partnership with the town. So in that spirit and having a conversation, I believe Chuck sent out an email that everybody received. And what we're looking to do is partner, have a process where we look at resumes together and whittle that down, and then have a second round with interviews, formal interviews. Additionally, we were talking about going outside with an agency to select the pool of candidates and help in that process. Dustin sent that out to 4 agencies. Only 1 responded back. It's costly, but it's not that far out of the realm. But I think an alternative to that would be for the town manager and the staff to do the initial legwork, to do the recruiting, to put the advertisement out there, and to be the collector of resumes. And I think that's a good alternative. Also in the email. So the recommendation I have right now is to use the town staff in the selection process, and then once the resumes come in, have a partnership with the town council to go through the process, and then ultimately interview a number of candidates depending on how many we get. If we get 50 candidates, we don't want to interview 50 people, but there's got to be a process to whittle that down to a reasonable number, and that would be the partnership between the Board of Safety and the Town Council. Out of that, there is one question, Dave. Can we have a joint Board of Safety Town Council meeting that is closed to review resumes and have conversations about personnel?
Yes.
So it doesn't matter, it would then not matter how many of each side came, or could you still restrict within that once you do it?
You'd notice it as an executive session with regard to personnel, right? So then it would be a Board of Safety meeting. You could notice it as both. So you would notice it as both the council, if there was going to be more than 2 councilmen there.
So if it's 2 and 2, we don't have to do that. If it's 3 and 2, it's okay, or 3 and 3 is okay, or 5 and 5 is okay, under the same resolution.
Right. I can help you get the notice together. It's just, I need to know who's planning on attending. That's all.
Okay. So Mike, do you have anything else to add to that about the process or anything?
Well, only that, the first, we get the resumes in roughly November, the applications. We can have a Board of Safety meeting to review. Everybody at the Board of Safety will receive all the information on all the applicants, and then the process to whittle that down. If we as a board the Board of Safety want to have a committee to have 2 or 3 people be in the room to whittle that down, or if we as a board want to meet collectively, make recommendations to whittle that down. And then ultimately the first round of interviews, though, with the town council, I'm thinking 20 plus applications as an example. We have a whittle down process somewhere between 6 and 10. That first round of interviews with 6 or 10 people is 2 people from the town council, 2 people from the Board of Safety, maybe the town manager. We get down to 2 to 3 candidates, and then that's the full Board of Safety. This is just trying to get the process moved along and partner with the town council.
So could we, so this group of 20 came off of, there's another whittle in there somewhere else, or are you talking about that 20 is the same as your first whittle?
Can you repeat that question?
The 20 you just mentioned with some of the town council and some of the board of safety. That meeting is the second meeting or the first meeting? You said you were talking like 50. Was that just the same? Was the 50 the same as saying 20?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to get 50 candidates. I'm thinking,
No, I mean,
we could. I'm thinking we can get 20, but.
Okay.
So
So then we would have,
but how many of those candidates are truly qualified, and do we really want to interview 20 people? So there's going to be a process to reduce down to a number that we bring in for a first round of interviews.
okay, so let's say you have the whole month of October to gather these together. Then you should have a meeting like on Monday, the 2nd of November. If you want to get this done before Thanksgiving and not drag it on. So you'll have a meeting November the 2nd of a couple. So we got to stay under 3, right? Dave? We got to stay under 3. If we have a joint thing like that, where we stay, now this is, so it'd be 2 and 2, like 2 board of safety, 2 town council, Dustin.
If you do 2 and 2, then you don't have to notice it, right? But it's really your call. If you're going to have more than 2 of either body, then we just have to get the proper notice together.
Okay, well, you can decide. So we'd have a first screening committee to get the 20 down to 5 real people. If you got somebody who just joined the department and never was a fireman before, and he decides he wants to be the boss, it's not like a viable candidate. So to get down to people that belong in that pool, because we're not making restrictions on who can apply. We're not putting out are we putting out you must have had 10 years experience and this and that when you send out your ad, or is the ad just, we need a fire chief?
Yeah, I think we need to put standards in there, but you're going to get applicants sometimes who are always a little less than the standard just because they want to do that.
Okay, so then say we go for a Monday night, the 2nd, and that's the screening thing of how many you decide. It's your committee. How many you want from the town council, how many you want from the board of safety, and who else you want there, and that'll be then put out as as an employee thing that's restricted.
Right now, Monday, November 2nd is a scheduled town council meeting, and it's the night before the election.
Yeah, I think what we had was that the initial deadline for applications would be October 30th. It was really the week of November 2nd that subcommittee would get together. So it's that week of. So it's anywhere between Monday and Friday that group would be able to review all the applications and to whittle that down to approximately the 7 to 8, good candidates. So not wasting everybody's time interviewing everybody and everything else that way. And then it's that other subcommittee, and that subcommittee formation, as Mike was saying, can be a number of different things, but the idea would be there's some board of safety members and there's some town council members on that initial whittling down from 7, 8, 9 people down to the 3, 4, 5 people that would get the final interviews before the 5 board of safety members.
Okay, so like on the 4th or the 5th, we'd have that whittling meeting, and then the next week, somewhere between the 9th and the 12th, you would have the full board of safety whittle it down to 1.
No, because from that week of November 2nd, you would have to give these gentlemen or ladies at least a week to schedule interviews. So that's where the interviews for that first round of 8 interviews or so would be the week of November 9th. Again, it might be November 10th or 11th, but that's
what I'm saying. That's what I was saying. I was saying on the 3rd or on the 4th or the 5th, because nobody's going to be there on a Friday and nobody's going to be there on election day and the night before. So on the 4th or the 5th is when the screening committee of of the Board of Safety couple and the couple from the town council and Dustin, whatever you want. They would just go through this pile of however many people applied on either the 4th or the 5th. And then on the week of the 9th, so then you would tell, if there was 5 good ones, you would tell them we're scheduling interviews. You pick out the night on the week of the 9th. And then the winner.
Right, we'll pick out we'll pick out a night.
Right, and then on the week of the 16th, it goes to, or then whatever day, from that day on, it goes to the town council. Right?
No.
I think there's one more round that you would have 3 board members or 3 or 4 finalists that would go in front of the 5 Board of Safety members.
Right, that's the week of the 9th.
Oh,
That's the
No.
week of the 16th.
You envision as an example, 20 candidates on paper.
Okay, that's the week
Then
of the 2nd.
envision, and you collect all those on the 31st, you disperse those, you meet somewhere on the week of November 2nd, could be the 4th or 5th, I don't care about the date right now. But the first round is somebody's in the room looking at those 20 pieces of paper.
Right.
And who is that? My proposal would be 2 Board of Safety committee members and 2 town council members. But we as a Board of Safety could have it 3 or 4. We could have all of us there. It doesn't matter. We can partner with the town council and ask them who they want. We can have as many people in the room as we want. We have time to sunshine that meeting. But the first round is looking at paper and deciding who we're going to have come in for an interview.
Right.
We
That's what I
decide
said.
again. If we decide, we have to reach out to them. We have to call them. They have to make sure they come in. So roughly a week later, people are coming. We're either having a Zoom meeting or at that time face-to-face interview. We can decide that at some point in the future as well. But that first round of interviews is with, again, 2 town council members, 2 Board of Safety members. We can have all 5 of the Board of Safety members there, but the idea is to take 5, 7, 10 candidates in a first round selection pool and whittle that down to 2 or 3. Then the 2 or 3 candidates come back a week later, and those 2 or 3 candidates, all of them sit in front of the whole Board of Safety, and we make a recommendation out of that to the town council.
Okay, so then after the 19th, it'll go to the town council by themselves. We're out of it. We vote on that week between the 16th and the 19th. We'll pick out our finalist, and then it goes to the town council on the week of from then on, when if they want to do it before Thanksgiving or they want to wait till after Thanksgiving, that's their.
Right. Right. And the town council has been, and the town council and everybody on the Board of Safety has had a hand in the process before we get down to the final 2 or 3 candidates.
Gotcha. Okay. Fine with me. Anybody else have an idea?
Yeah, when we send out the request for the candidates, did we make a decision on whether or not we should specify the qualifications for the candidates to apply?
Yeah, Mike said that. He said he wanted a list of qualifications to be in the ad, but he said people will ignore that and still apply.
Yeah, but we will have the job description was actually included in the email that I sent to the Board of Safety last night. And what we will also do is once we get the job announcement, we will send that also to the Board of Safety, so you're aware of the job announcement.
sounds good.
Jerry, you have anything?
No.
Okay, then that's everybody. So then,
So what we need is
can I have a motion about that process? Don't we have to set up the process first, Mike?
Well, I don't know about procedurally here, but I was going to say we need to identify our 2 people, and we, Chuck is part of this conversation, but is he having a verbal conversation with the town council? I don't, or do they need to actually vote on this process as well? Do we need to send a formal memo? Dave, this is a question to you. Formal memo to the town or to Leanne, telling her this is our process, and inviting her to be part of it. You know, I don't know about that part of it right now.
You know, I don't think sending a formal memo is necessary. I think
Okay.
you need to do, because you have Chuck on the line, right? So that's kind of his job. But
Okay.
But I would take a formal vote on two things. Number one, you know, that you're going to do this internally, if that's sounds like the direction we're going. And number two, the general timeline. And I apologize, I tried to share it while you guys were talking. I was trying to share the screen from Chuck's email last night. He kind of, the last part of Chuck's email lays out the timeline that you guys were talking about. And I think you could just do it by reference. I'd want it in the minutes that that's the timeline you're going to follow, from Chuck's email of, you know, October 1st. So those two motions I'd like in the record. That's all.
Let's have a motion to accept. I lost what I was going to do. A motion to accept the process, I guess. Is that what you're saying? That we're going to be internal? Motion to accept it, that we're internal, and that there would be, I think that's all we have to say, right? On the first one. The second one is what the process is.
A motion to internally recruit, internal meaning we're not using an outside consultant for the recruiting process, but we will open it to outside candidates outside the town of Munster. So internally, but the recruiting process will be done internally by the town of Munster.
Okay, so can I have a motion for that? I can give them, I can say, okay, I present that motion because he can't because it's his motion. So I accept that motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Dr. Dershowitz?
Yes, I second.
Okay. So
Okay.
we have a motion to second.
We'll call
Can we have a roll call?
We'll call roll on that motion then.
Go for it.
Mr. Balfa,
Aye.
Dr. Brown,
Aye.
Mr. Clark,
Aye.
Linda,
Aye.
and Dr. Dershowitz.
Aye.
Okay, 5-0 for an internal process in the selection of fire chief.
Okay, then I need a motion to follow. So Mike I didn't read the letter. So is your process the exact same thing that you got from last night in the email?
It is. My only thing is I understand that something could happen and it's a general guide for the timeline. I guess my question, Dave, something happens, we miss one of the dates in that timeline. Is it better for us to give 2-week ranges for each bullet point, or, does it not matter? But our general timeline is to open the application process October 1st, close it October 31st, have a review process the first week of November, interviews, first round of interviews, and a second round of interview process as quickly as we can between November 1st and Thanksgiving.
I would have somebody make a motion to generally approve the procedure set forth in Chuck Gardner's email of October 1st, 2020, understanding that you may have to be flexible as things come up.
Okay.
Can I just say I so move, just what Dave said?
You do that,
Yes.
Linda.
So we got a motion.
So I don't know if Nancy got
I will
that.
motion what Dave said.
So Linda Dunn made the motion based on our attorney's motion. He kind of prefaced for you. So Linda Dunn so moves. We need a second.
I will second.
Mike Clark, second.
And
Yes, Bob.
Chief, here's what I would do for the minutes.
Yes.
Just cut and paste out of Chuck's email that bottom section as part of the motion. So I just cut and paste it so the minutes show exactly, what that general guideline is.
Yeah, Nancy's right here, so she's nodding her head. So we got it. We'll just cut and paste it.
All right.
Okay,
I
let's
just think we have to, as an aside, we have to stick to that pretty rigidly, because if we don't get it out by Thanksgiving, the town council is not gonna have enough time, and this thing's gonna go into January and stuff. And, you know, these guys are hanging and whatever, so we really have to try to get done, that by the end of the 20th of November, just to then, it's not gonna happen the next week with Thanksgiving. And then you only got a couple weeks, because then comes Christmas and everything, and the town council is going to be not happy to be working through that. And if you skip over all that, then you're past the first of the year. So I would think we should try pretty rigidly, Mike, to stay in those first 3 weeks.
Yes.
Okay, so that's it for that.
We have to vote,
We
don't
can
we?
vote on that. Okay, vote on. We got the second. We got the motion from Linda and the second from Mike to accept that process in Chuck's email. So I need a roll call vote.
Okay. Mr. Baffa,
Aye.
Dr. Brown,
Aye.
Mr. Clark,
Aye.
Miss Linda,
Aye.
and Dr. Dershowitz.
Aye.
Okay, motion passed 5-0.
Okay, so then Mike, you just figure that out and take care of that. And just let me know, and then I'll get.
Yeah, so the committee of two, I plan to be on that. Do you want to? Do we need volunteers? Do we need to select that other person right now?
Well, for right now, it can be, it can be, I can be on it, but I think if somebody feels strongly they want to be on it, we could enlarge it by just, because this is going to be sunshine as restricted. So all we have to do in the next month is decide how many really want to be on there and get it to Dave to, he would have to just sunshine it as a full meeting if we have more than the two of us. But if the other guys don't care about weeding out on that first round, then keep it to the least we can keep it to not, if you're going to have a large number of things to get through and you just sort of getting through it. What do you think? Is that okay to just leave that open for now? And then we just.
Well, this is our last meeting and we want to sunshine it the first week of November. So we need to determine who that second person is, I would think. Formally.
Well, put me in as the placeholder then. And then if somebody tells me they really want it, want to waste the night, they can do that. Not waste the night, but I mean, be part of the first week. It's an important thing to do. It's just not, just put me in as a placeholder so we can get through this meeting. Because I got office hours that they're meeting.
Fantastic.
So that's okay then. So that's what it'll be right now. So anybody just get to me and I'll tell you when these meetings are officially scheduled through our usual emails and all that stuff. It'll just go on so we won't have another meeting of the Board of Safety in October. This is our October meeting. Okay, but we're going to have a lot of meetings next month. Unless there's an emergency. So, because we might have to go through a whole eligibility list thing too. So then old business, oh no, that was a new business. Any board comments? Anybody start? Linda?
I just have a question. I haven't gotten my news you can use, but I went online and I thought I saw the little box that said that we are doing town trick or treating on Halloween from 5 to 7. I was shocked by that. And I don't know if anybody else feels strongly that I saw there was the trunk or treat. I understand doing something like that at the town hall, but I have a feeling a lot of people are just going to keep their porch lights off, and I suppose that's their option. But I don't know. I think it's a wrong tack to take personally.
Well, Linda, I understand it, but even if I was to cancel trick or treating, here's the dilemma. We get so many people that come in from out of town. They're not going to get the message, and they're still going to be trick or treating anyhow. You know, when we weighed this, you know, half the country's overly cautious about coronavirus, and the other half could care less. And that's kind of the dilemma we're in. We just thought the easiest way would be to go ahead and have trick or treating. If you don't want to participate, like you said, Linda, turn your porch lights off and don't come to the door. The other option is if, you know, you're doing something that is traditional every year, even if we were to cancel it, all the neighbors would be getting knocks on the door yelling trick or treat, because we have so many people even from out of town that come here to trick or treat. So that was.
I hear you. I understand what you're saying. I don't know.
I know.
I guess it's a tough call. I was just really surprised.
Yeah. You know, I wish I had a crystal ball, but I just don't see us effectively shutting down trick or treating and then we're kind of in the spot then to run little kids off the street and say, get out of here, you can't trick or treat this year. So I think the general consensus in the areas, speaking with other chiefs and managers, that we decided, well, this is probably the least painless way to do it. And if you're in high risk category, you know, by all means, please shut your light off, lock your door, don't come to the door. It's 2 hours, you know, go to dinner or something. But it seemed to be that was the easier option as opposed to just trying to shut it down hard. I hope you understand the thought process there.
I do. You had raised, you said the general consensus. Do you know what our neighboring towns are doing?
Yeah, there was a Times article, I want to say this week. Forgive me, I don't remember what day.
Okay, I'll find it. Thank you.
They listed in there who was having trick or treat hours. Everybody's the same. It's always 5 to 7. And, you know, that was kind of the general consensus.
Okay.
I think there was a community or two that said, no way, we're not having trick or treating. And my response is, good luck trying to shut that down, you know. So, but it's in the Times this week.
Okay, I'll find it.
Linda, I'll give you some mace. You open your door and just squirt them.
Has there been some consideration about then making a recommendation for the trick-or-treaters when they go to wear a mask?
Right. That was addressed in the Times article, but obviously we recommend wearing a mask under whatever mask the kids put on, right? And Dr. Bob, you know this as well as I do. Yeah, it's a recommendation.
Right.
You're going to have a lot of little kids that probably won't follow our direction. And we're just going to have to deal with it.
But are we going to make that recommendation, though? I know it can't be enforced, but I think it makes a statement to make that recommendation.
Well, I think that's the governor's. The governor said that masks are in place. So if they're outside their house, the governor's already told them to do it. I don't think they really care what our Board of Safety says. You know what I mean, Bob?
Yeah, but I'm listening to Linda's thoughts too. I think it's valid, and Stephen, so is your point. But I think if we sort of encourage the mask, it sort of unifies both of the points of view.
Okay.
I get your point. It's well taken. We'll put it on our Facebook page and everything else.
So
I appreciate that. That's a good recommendation, Bob.
Is there another news you can use, or can we get it to the school one too?
No, we'll have the news you can use will not run before trick or treating.
What about the school one?
We will reach out with our Crime Watch letter, our Facebook page. We got the town's Facebook page. We can put those recommendations because our Crime Watch letter comes out every week. So we got.
Yeah, I think what Bob's saying to do it, and we should just do it. And like you're saying, most of the people that come to my door and to his door aren't from Munster. They're not going to get our pages. So.
Well, they can always hit for trick or treating. They may hit the town's website is my point.
Okay.
You know, if I live in East Chicago and we always take our kids trick or treat in Munster, which normally happens, they'll at least be savvy enough to hit the Facebook page and see the recommendations.
Okay, done. Get it done. Okay, so then, Linda, you have anything else?
No, that was it.
Okay, Bob, you want to
No.
finish? You want anything else you want to say about any subject? Nope.
No.
Okay, Mike, you have anything to say?
Just one, and Nancy, thank you for all that you do for the board. But I do have issues on my computer, both at work and at home. Windmill.text email, I cannot open those. Have not been for a while. Is there any other format? Can we send an Adobe file, a Word file, any other type of file out with information?
She's saying the only thing she could do, Mike, is a PDF. Would that work?
Well, that's what it's going
That
out.
would work fantastic.
Okay.
I thought that's what it was going out
Okay.
now as.
Well, the minutes I think were PDF, but the letter, the attachments didn't come to some people.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, anything that's windmill.txt or .dat, DAT, I cannot open.
okay. If you want to call after the meeting, Mike, we could put you also in touch with our IT, which is.
I've had my IT guy at work look at
Okay.
those. Like I said, I can't do it.
But we can definitely scan everything as a PDF and send it to you. At least you'll be able to open it.
Right. I mean, if it's in Word, aren't we typing it in Word?
Yeah.
I just don't know how it's getting to a windmill.dat file if it's a Word file.
Scanned and that's how it's sent.
Yeah,
to the printer.
Well, that's the interface between our printer and the desktop.
Yeah, I
So-
mean, my notice of the Board of Safety says PDF. And when you open that up, it comes up with our agenda.
That can be opened. The other one is a windmill.dat.
Yeah, and that's some interface we have to figure out. We can talk to Impact too and see if they can come up with a solution to that. But in the meantime, you know, we can put everything in PDF format. So you know, at least you can open everything.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Okay, anything else, Mike?
Nope.
Okay, Jerry?
No, thank you. Nothing.
Okay, so that's everybody from us. So, Chuck, do you have something more?
I have no other comments. I just want to thank everybody for their time.
Okay, so then can I have a motion to adjourn? And we won't meet again. Well, we're gonna meet a whole bunch of times in November, but if there's an emergency for some other reason, then I'll contact you, but we won't have just a routine meeting in November or the rest of this month. But we'll have like 3 meetings in November. And I'm gonna
I'll
try and
make a
stay on. We may go to an open meeting if that goes down, but don't you think, Dave, that it would be like, it could be a combination for Zoom and an open meeting, rather than just saying there are no more Zoom meetings for government?
It depends on what the governor does, but yeah, I mean, we can be flexible and we can adapt, so. Gotta leave
I
it.
think, I mean, I know Linda doesn't want to go, and I'd rather not, but, so if there's any way to just continue it, even if the state says you can now meet in public, those that want to meet in public can go down to the town hall, but you know, just to have routine meetings, I don't know. Okay, so can I have a motion to close?
I move that we
I make
adjourn.
a motion to
Okay, we have Linda Dunn making the motion, second.
By
I
Jerry,
second.
Okay,
you have to vote on a roll call for that?
might as well. Mr. Baffa,
Aye.
Dr. Brown,
Aye.
Mr. Clark,
Aye.
Miss Linda,
Aye.
and Dr. Dershowitz.
Aye.
Okay, meeting's adjourned.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.